In this episode, we sit down with veteran film producer, director, and New Orleans music scholar, Jonathan McHugh.
I've always come as a fan. This year I brought a movie that, if anybody's familiar with the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival in San Francisco, the Helman family, who basically has funded that festival and just bequeathed this amount of money to run this festival. The granddaughter is an artist named Ismay, and her North Star was Lucinda Williams. And so she kind of went on this journey to see if she should leave the family ranch where she's like a sheeper and to try to be a songwriter, to come out of her bubble, if you will, and get out in the world and do it. And she ended up going on this journey and find out where Lucinda came from. And through this journey and interview people like Mary Gauthier and Charlie Sexton and Buddy Miller and all these amazing artists. But she ended up in Malaco Studios in Mississippi, where Lucinda recorded her first record for Smithsonian Records in 1978. And it turned out that there were 3 outtakes that she did and forgot about. And so Avery Helman, she goes by Ismay, found these records, and it's featured in this movie, and it's like, wow.
Just pleased to have you. We just were introduced to you really moments ago, and we've had a brief conversation, and we were starting with, obviously, High Sierra Music Festival. I know that there was a time about a week ago or 2 weeks ago when this might not have happened. Tammy and I, it's our first time here.
Yeah,
not counting Bear Valley, so I'm not going to count it.
Sure.
So long ago. I am just amazed at this festival.
It is magical. It's one of our favorite, probably our favorite festival at this point.
Wow, that's a lot.
And the artists tell us that too. Many artists tell us that. So what are we going to do? We, you, I, people that aren't here.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about yourself too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start there. So my name's Jonathan McHugh, and I am a number of things. I guess I would call myself. I've been a music supervisor for years. I produce soundtracks with Jive Records, Elektra Records, Warner Brothers films. I've produced films. I've directed films. I have music supervised 100 films. I've done many hit films. Grammy nominations, Academy Award nomination. I've just been at it for about 40 years. The music business is a relationship game, but it has a lot of nuance to it. And I think that's really important to learn, and then the question is, how can you guys, being here in New Orleans, how can you guys benefit? And Dave Margulies and I met in college. He was the promotion director of WTUL in New Orleans, a great radio station. And we became friends, and he invited me into the station. And he basically mentored me, and I'll tell one great story.
Please,
There's so many of them. It's hard to do. So the Grateful Dead decided to come to New Orleans for the first time in 10 years since the song Truckin'. If you remember the song, busted down on Bourbon Street, right? That's a true fact. They were set up by the police. They vowed never to come back. So in 1981, they decided to come back, and they did an underplay and did 2 nights at the Sanger Theater, which is probably a 3,000-seat, beautiful old theater in New Orleans. And commercial radio in New Orleans very bad, so we had to co-promote. The promoter came on the radio and promoted the show, which we'd never done before because we're non-commercial, but it's the Dead, so you break the rules. And so the promotion director, Dave told me to volunteer as the promotion director, the assistant promotion director, because the promotion director was a junior, I was a sophomore. He was going to keep the job for the next 2 years, then I would take over as a senior. And the demand for tickets becomes so hot as the show sells out immediately. We have X amount of promotional tickets. Promotion director at the time is part of the Grateful Dead fraternity, Skycaps. He makes the fatal mistake of selling promotional tickets to his frat boys because they can't get in. There's no StubHub back then. There's nothing. If you couldn't get a Miracle ticket night of, you were out. And so I hear he gets fired. Dave calls me, says, hey, they fired Ward. And he goes, you're the guy? And I go, dude, I don't know. I've been at this gig like 2 weeks. He goes, I know. You got to go in there and you have to, in the nicest of all ways, demand the job. And I'm like, what? He's like, don't leave till you get the job. And he hangs up. And he goes, I got your back. I'll introduce you to all the promoters. You'll be good. And I'm like, okay. I go in. The woman's like, could care less. I go, hi, GM. She's like, yeah, hi. Sabrina. She's like, what do you want? And I said, oh, I'm Jonathan McHugh. I'm the assistant promotion director. She goes, what year are you in? I said, I'm a sophomore. How long have you been on the job? 2 weeks. She's like, well, no, this is a job for upperclassmen. This is a powerful job. You're dealing with promoters. You're dealing with sponsors. I'm like, oh. okay. And I turn around, I start to walk out because she's like paying barely, and she's on a computer or whatever it was. And I turn around, I go, excuse me, Sabrina, is that like in the bylaws that you have to be an upperclassman for this job? She kind of looks up at me like, I don't know. And I go, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you give me a month? And Margulies has my back, and he's going to, set me up with all the people. And she goes, oh, you're friends with Dave? I said, yeah, he's the one who brought me in here. She goes, oh, okay. And that was it. And that was in 1981, and through that, I became the promotion director of the radio station. Then when I graduated, I didn't have a job. Dave was working at an organization called CMJ, which was all the college radio stations reported to this one publication, and they would break acts. Elvis Costello, Psychedelic Furs, The Cure. I mean, This is how records were made then back then with college radio. And so Dave says, come to this conference, and I'll sneak you in. And while I'm there, I hustle a woman in an elevator who works for the BBC in England. Turns out they have an office in New York, and I get an internship, and I start on my birthday. And I've never been out of the music business since, and that's 45 years.
Thank you, Dave, and you.
Thank you, Dave. And then there's one more thank you, Dave. He says to me one day, he goes, hey, man, the New York Giants made the Super Bowl in Pasadena in 1987. We should go. And I'm like, dude, how are we going to go? Like, can't get in the Super Bowl. He goes, we're good. We got a place to stay at my friend's house on the beach. I'm like, okay. And we end up sneaking into the Super Bowl for $50. True story. But the best part of the story was while I was there, another friend of ours, girlfriend worked at Universal Pictures, and she's like, oh, my friend just left Sony Pictures to go to start Dino De Laurentiis' company. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, you should go for that job. I go, well, I'm a music guy. And she's like, well, you could do it. And I'm like, okay. And so once again, I go to this meeting, and the woman's like, where'd you come from? I said, I was at WTUL in New Orleans. She goes, you're at WTUL in New Orleans? She goes, I ran a film agency. We used to do promotions with the radio station, and you guys were one of the best college radio stations in the country. If that's you, then you got the job.
If that's you.
And I was like, yeah, that's me. And she's like, okay, good. When can you start? Wow. And I was like, I packed up my shit in New York, and boom, I was in LA. And that's how, and my wife was the woman who coordinated my move, and we started a little thing together during work. Wow. And then years later got married in New Orleans, and she's been with me ever since. So Dave, every step of the way, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Wow.
Yeah. So now it's payback time. Back to your other question. Yeah, what can we do?
Wait, I have a quick interruption.
Yes, sir.
So you never had to fill out prepare a resume in your life. Have you ever made a resume?
No. Okay. Not until, oh, right. So now I'm the chair of music business studies at Loyola University, and I got offered this job. And they're like, well, you got to send in a resume. And the guy who runs the Grammys in New Orleans, Reed Wick, sends me his resume. I go, what's a resume look like today? And in academia, they like literally have every conference they ever spoke at. And it was like 12 pages. Right now, I'm like normally drilling my kids down. I have 1-page resumes. Yeah. And so I was like, this is ridiculous. So I started lumping in all the things I've done. And it was like 20 pages. I was like, I can't do this. So yes, there is a resume out there. It's called a CV now.
A CV.
The kids today call it a CV.
Very good.
So yes, I have a CV. Okay. That's very long.
Curriculum vitae. Huh?
Oh, is that what it is?
That's what it is. How about that?
I like
there we go.
Things.
There we go.
This is a very intelligent program. Intelligent program, people.
Yeah.
All right, so back to
go ahead. That was I had to ask.
Good
that.
sidebar. Look, this is an incredible festival. I've been coming for, I don't know, 25 years, whatever, off and on, as much as I could get here, and it's a community amongst like no other. And I know everybody says that. They're communities. I directed a film about the hard rock subculture. And we went to these festivals in Kentucky and a couple other hard rock festivals. And we had access to the best artists. And, Lars from Metallica, Duff from Guns N' Roses, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, Jonathan Davis from Korn, you name it, we had them all. And it was really about the fans, though, focusing on the fans and their community. So every community that is passionate about music is its own entity. And this one is special because I like the music. I'm Dead. I like all these type of bands. Pulse is like a god to me. And I saw Andy Frasco for the first time, and
Just gotta love yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you're 60, even if you're 70, even if you're 10. We gotta remember when we were 7 years old, on the fucking swings, eating some ice cream, laughing by yourself,
That's it.
We gotta get back to that.
That feeling.
I remember when I was in 3rd grade, I'd be looking at myself in the mirror with a microphone, just like I always wanted to be like Howard Stern, or talk to people, or sing and stuff. And then, I'd write my signature down 1,000 times to fucking, just get in this life of trying to be a celebrity. So, yeah.
this guy's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
you can imagine that interview.
Yeah, so, whatever we can do to help, and I think the level of marketing, promotion, even this podcast, broadcast, whatever, everything helps. And the ability to get young people to come, like I went to see this band Boombox the other night.
Yes,
over here, it's one dude.
Tonight again.
Right, and they're like, I look around and it's like High Sierra under 25, and it could be at any EDM festival. And like, I love that. And that's the marriage that we got to do more of and get more young engagement. When Lyrics Born was playing the other night, who's a rapper from the Bay, who's been around for a long time, and like, okay, we need more of this.
Yeah.
More put the brass band with the rapper and the jazz band, like put people together. Collaborations are what's everything, and that's what, in producing soundtracks for years, I put together amazing soundtracks by taking this disparate element and that disparate element. And so that's what I'm going to try to help Dave do, just market however we can.
We saw the fans of both, like, it was very stark. So we went to see Amy Helm, the family
Right.
band, down at the main stage.
I was there.
Levon Helm, being your dad, 'cause we just kind of launched right into it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I also have something that's been interesting in teaching me how to hold the legacy and try to stay true to the intention of it and what it can serve. Because the whole thing about holding a legacy, whatever your legacy is, whether your dad was a carpenter or a drummer, what doesn't matter, whether they were famous or not, is like, how are other people remembering it and feeling filled up by it?
And then, which was amazing, right? And then we came back, and I forgot who was on at the Big Meadow, but it was the EDM-ish.
That was Boombox.
That was Boombox.
Right after,
Yes.
after Amy Helm was
And
Boombox.
but I'm
I was
telling-
on your same journey last night.
Yeah, but I saw people from,
That's so cool.
at both.
Yeah, and
people-
that's
amazing.
what the beautiful part is here. Because we talked about it earlier, that people who took their kids to shows, when you look at them and the music they like, is they have better taste than the kids that, to me, and this is a wide cast of aspersion here, but the parents that didn't take their kids to music, those kids primarily like EDM and hip hop. Whereas other kids have more diverse taste, because why? Because their parents forced them on all the great music that we love and have loved for years. So it's an interesting dichotomy I never thought too much about until I kind of looked into it. I talked to a bunch of my kids' friends.
Yeah.
We were
sending
we
videos to
kept
our
saying-
kids, and my daughter's like exactly what
19.
you described, and she's like, I so wish I could be there.
Right, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want kid FOMO. Right? 'Cause
Yes.
you're like, that's the old people's festival.
Yeah.
And you have to change that perspective.
Right.
And my wife has worked at Coachella and Stagecoach, and so we've been a festival family. We've gone to festivals since our little kids came up. We took my son to see Paul McCartney at Coachella at 8. And he was like, Mom, what's that smell that what is that stuff that everybody's smoking that smells like? So all these
Contact
potheads.
high, yeah.
How many years has the younger music seeped in? Because
Well, it hasn't seeped enough. Because
Okay.
remember, you have promoters that are older, and so they book what they think the community is going to like. But the turn in the road has to be by booking more of those acts to get the younger people to show up, because they have disposable income. They're less worried about camping, getting on the ground, as
Right.
people say, the hotel room things. It's like they're less worried about that. They just go. I watch my daughter who lives in Oregon. They're outdoors, they're camping everywhere. They're going to whatever festival, Oregon Country Fair and things like that. So it's just about engaging the next generation community-wise, and that's a big part of it, I think.
Right,
Yeah, I
fantastic.
think that's what we were doing.
Right.
We didn't even know it. I mean, we said
Right.
all our kids. So between the two of us, we have how many? 5.
5 between two of us.
5 kids between 19 and 36 ages, and every one of them would have
Oh, yeah.
loved this.
And they will come next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. For me, I've always come as a fan, but this year I came. I brought a movie that, if anybody's familiar with Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival in San Francisco, the Helman family, who basically has funded that festival and just bequeathed this amount of money to run this festival. The granddaughter is an artist named Ismay, and her North Star was Lucinda Williams, and so she went on this journey to see if she should leave the family ranch when she's like a sheeper, and to try to be a songwriter, to come out of her bubble, if you will, and get out in the world and do it. And she ended up going on this journey and find out where Lucinda came from, and through this journey and interview people like Mary Gauthier and Charlie Sexton and Buddy Miller and all these amazing artists. But she ended up in Malaco Studios in Mississippi, where Lucinda recorded her first record for Smithsonian Records in 1978. And it turned out that there were 3 outtakes that she did and forgot about. And so Avery, her name's Avery Helman, she goes by Ismay, found these records, and it's featured in this movie. And it's like, wow, that stuff can happen by just being out there and asking questions. And so that movie's going to open up in late September, and they'll do an event October 3rd in San Francisco during Hardly Strictly, which is its 25th anniversary this year, Hardly Strictly, to promote that.
So Avery and I didn't even meet you first. I met your first producer on the film. This film has been going on so long that there were at least 2 or 3 producers involved over the last 4 or 5 years. And it's really been an amazing journey, like a climb up the hill type of thing to get this movie made. So you guys are all in for an amazing treat. But for me, as a veteran music supervisor, it's a funny story actually. I'm in the group called the Producers Guild, which produces movies, which I also do. And I gave a seminar one day. I don't know if you know this story. I gave a seminar one day online during COVID for producers to understand how to clear music, to get music in their films. And after I got done with that, I got a call from your first producer, whose name was, okay, good.
Jennifer Steinman.
That's the one, yes. And she's like, hey, you ever hear of Lucinda Williams? I was like, yeah. She's like, how would you feel about working on a Lucinda Williams movie? I'm like, where do I sign up?
It's a blessing as a music supervisor to work on films like that with people like that are super creative. She has a podcast. You can also listen to it through the Bluegrass Situation called Finding Lucinda.
What do you do when you have something you want to be, but you don't know what steps to take to get there?
So that's 5 out of 14 episodes are up now. And so I think that's, for anybody who likes Lucinda Williams and is interested in the deep dive of it, really worth a podcast look now and then when the film comes out.
The place that I was born into and the family that I was born into gave me this destiny to play music, but at the same time, I definitely have my doubts.
Widely known as one of the best songwriters of her time and any other time, critics praise her eclectic sound, but it wasn't until 1998 and her album Car Wheels on a Gravel Road that she won recognition and a Grammy.
I won't cry a tear for you.
If you're copying someone, you're not saying something that makes you scared to say.
To Jackson.
Wow.
That's where the music happened for years and years.
As a musician, you just have so many doubts about your own worthiness. Just curious if you've experienced that kind of feeling and how you deal with that.
Assuming that I wouldn't feel that way.
These boots are the same boots I was wearing then. And this beer I'm drinking is still the same.
So nice to meet you.
What a beautiful voice you have.
Oh, thanks. Creation's happening all around us right now.
The infamous tape vault.
Ooh, we got Lucinda.
There we go.
She had all these original songs.
I can't see.
You're the only person she shared these with. I struggle more, like, maybe than she did with that sense of being needed.
Here we are all these years later, she's still at it.
Yeah, she just didn't give up. I think I've gotten my answers in so many different versions of what to do about my self-doubt and uncertainty from everybody but her.
Fantastic.
So how does that all connect to High Sierra? Because I missed that.
We did a play shop yesterday.
Okay.
Dave, I asked
Fantastic.
Dave if we could do a play shop, and he readily agreed.
About
So
it.
we had Lebo, we had Animos, we had the Rainbow Girls, we had a guy from Sag Harbor where I grew up in New York named Shapiro played, and it was like we showed clips, and then they played music. And it was like a perfect little,
Lebo
hour
is
and
everywhere,
15.
isn't he?
Lebo, 14 acts, he said.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
Did you see Chaparral while you were here?
Yeah, so Chaparral's an interesting thing. I'd never seen Chaparral.
Zell and I got together romantically, and we wanted to start a band together. Wanted to write some songs, but writing songs while you're in a relationship can be pretty difficult. It gets very personal, very quick, and we were still in our honeymoon phase. And then we met Bo, and that third angle on the triangle, everything just fit. We wrote the whole record in about 10 days. It just was smooth and stars aligning, and one day we were like, did we just start a band?
Yeah.
And then in March, I was at South by Southwest, and Willie Nelson has this farm, and it's called Luck Ranch, and it's incredible. If you ever get a chance to go to this thing. So one day a year at Luck Ranch, his people book a show. And I always try to get there. It's a hard ticket to get. It's 45 minutes outside the city. You're out for the whole day and night, but it is spectacular. And I've seen some of the best acts. Low Cut Connie I found there. I can't, Sam Smith and the Saints, I found there. I mean, just incredible. But anyway, so there's a band from New Orleans called the Des Lons. And I run into Sam Dorris from the Des Lons. He goes, what are you doing? He said, I'm playing. My friends from Chaparral are playing. And I was like, who's Chaparral? He's like, just stick around. So he introduced me to Zella Day, and I was like, oh, wow, you had a record deal, Hollywood Records. You're like a rock star. But she fell in love with this guy, and they have this band. So I go see him there, and I'm like, wow. And then we end up being at Bottle Rock for a day, and there's Chaparral again. And then they say, hey, we'll see you in New Orleans on Tuesday. I was like, wait, I live in New Orleans on Tuesday. And I look them up, and they're playing at the Columns Hotel, which is like a beautiful old world hotel that doesn't play music normally. So we go see them again on Tuesday. And then here they are again. So I saw them 4 times in 4 months after never, and they're not that old. They've only been around a couple of years.
I was going to say, they've just started, I think their first performance was 2023. Their album's coming out.
Yeah.
We interviewed them, and the difference between their onstage, because she's so theatrical, and then when we were interviewing, they all had their sunglasses on, and
they have vibe.
Oh, did they?
Oh,
They
yeah.
did the rock star thing?
Yeah, they did the rock star thing, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I was like,
They were super cool, though.
Yeah,
It's
it's impressive to see, and that's what Love will do. Like, here she's a woman on her track to be a star, and she's put out a bunch of records on Hollywood and has a lot of traction, but she meets this guy, and the vibes are so good. Like, people can feel the sexiness.
Yeah.
And that's really palpable,
Well, she said that also they had to bring in, was it Bo? I
think Bo is the bass player.
He came in and
he's great.
He came in and kind of helped out.
He's got real personality.
Yes,
Bo's got real personality.
Yeah, because I guess they were having a difficult time because in a relationship sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
So it was a great.
I'm
it was
funny.
great.
Oh, you had to do some therapy?
Yeah, exactly.
Funny I should mention them, right? I
Yeah,
mentioned them
exactly.
4 times in the.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention is, so this is a great story. So, and this is why radio is important. Like, kids today, very hard to get them to listen to radio, but curated radio, especially public radio, is the most important thing out there, right? In LA, there's a great station called KCRW. New York has a great station called WFMU at Fordham University. In New Orleans, we have a station called WWOZ. And WWOZ travels the world, the Guardians of the Groove. So I put this former student, who's he's still a student, graduating, to promote a show at French Quarter Fest in New Orleans, which is also another great free festival. And while we're on the air, he goes, yeah, I'm going on tour in Oregon this summer. And I'm like, you are? He's like, yeah, because I didn't even realize they had that kind of juice, but they have a band member whose mom was connected, and they made some moves. And so we play a song, and all of a sudden I get a text, and I look at it, it's Margulies. Now I'm on the radio with Missy, who's the wife of Camille from the Radiators, who's our New Orleans, Dave and I, North Star. Dave, has produced their records before, and so I go, oh, Missy, check it. Dave's listening, and he loves this band. He says, if you're in Oregon, you should come by High Sierra, like that. And so Missy gets on the air and mentions that. And then we play another song. We're talking again. And then I see another thing. It says, book them. And I look, and all I see is book them. And I go, Missy, like, Dave loves it so much, she's going to book them. And then after we get off the air, I look at it, and Dave says, I didn't say that. And I look at the text, and it was a text between me, Dave, and my wife.
Oh.
And so my wife
She
had
said
weighed
it.
in, just like, she didn't know what's going on, right? And so I was like, sorry, Dave, I thought that was you. I didn't know why it was a group text. And so I said, call him up, and Missy gets off the air and says it again. Dave Margulies doing this band Codadosa, WWZ. See what happens if you listen. And I was like, Dave, he's like, you're right. I got to find a spot for him. And so that's what he did. And they just started out in the vaudeville tent against the Meters tribute at 5 o'clock, and there's 15 people in there. By the end, packed. Like, they just, people come.
Yeah.
They just
They
hear,
do.
and they come.
Well, that's one thing
So
about
they
this.
just played. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
this
great.
festival. We just one night we said, let's not even look
the
at
pop-ups
the schedule. Just walked around.
Right.
So
Just
much
walked
fun.
around and got drawn in here, drawn in there.
Right.
And people, that's what happens when you come here.
Yeah.
Among other things. Yeah. College radio, 1981-ish. Is that what you said?
Yeah, started out in
So
1981.
I was just the year before that and into that year at KUSF, San Francisco.
Okay, so one of the other great public radio stations, Howie Klein.
Yes.
Who else came out of there?
Shannon-
Peter Standish,
yeah.
my guy from Warner's.
Yeah,
known
and he
forever.
was my program director.
Is that
at
right?
the time? Yeah.
So you want to know something crazy about Peter Standish? Peter Standish guest lectured in my class by Zoom last semester, talking about the rebirth of Linkin Park, him setting up that record. But Peter Standish is one of the longest running employees at Warner Brothers Records, any record company.
I need to regroup with him because I told this to Maria Hoppy, who's the GM.
At Sweetwater.
Someone, maybe it wasn't her, but someone, I brought Peter Standish's name. I think it was her. She said, oh my God, Peter Standish. I mean, he was my classmate.
Right.
Yeah, he might have been younger.
Yeah, so you and I are basically the same age.
Basically the same age. And it was an amazing time, KUSF. It was, you mentioned the Psychedelic Furs, and we, of course, the Dead
We played
Kennedys.
them all.
They were
Dead
all
Kennedys,
there.
right. We played them all. And, I got, my daughter was on the air recently at where she went to school at Santa Cruz at that radio station. It was just such a joy listening to my daughter curate these fucking super cool playlists with her. She's got a really nice voice like this. It's like, I just love it. I wish we could bring that back to get people back into that college radio aesthetic.
I love the radio, And we had a format that was ranged from punk, new wave, to classic rock, which was, a lot of Grateful Dead was in there. So were the Psychedelic Furs and the Dead Kennedys, or Translator, or all these.
Well, I was on the air recently. They have a station here, and they have a lot of archives, and you should tap into some of those for your program to play some of the stuff because they have great stuff.
Where at? I'm sorry?
Here.
Here, they
here.
Grizzly Radio.
We were on
They have like 2 or 3 stations attached to it.
We've been honored. We were on Grizzly Radio here, and we were on WWOZ.
When we were in Jazz Fest.
Oh, you
Jazz
did?
Fest,
Yeah, they gave us.
Who were you on the air with?
Double A.
Okay,
Double A,
sure.
Wednesday nights, we got in there for a live thing promoting our podcast. It was great.
They're the coolest.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, that's the coolest station.
So
love
it. Well, man, we could talk for hours.
I know.
You're right.
Do
and
we have
will.
more time? Because we will.
What time is it now? We're good?
Well, we probably don't because they're going to be
8:17.
8:17. Okay.
So we're good.
So we're good. Perfect.
We hope to do
Grace
this again,
Bowers.
though. Grace
We're going to
Bowers.
see her now.
Yes.
We're going to see her now, and we did interview her, and then both Sierra Farrell and Grace Bowers at the Sound Summit in Mill Valley. We interviewed both of them, and then 2 weeks later we saw them on Kimmel, I guess, right?
Another great one you could go to is the Songwriter Summit in Park City. It takes place August 14th this year, and it's everybody from Goose to Marcus King to Anders Osborne, and it focuses on wellness and music. So I will send you the information from Ben Anderson, and you should have Ben and his wife Paige on. I was just literally with him this morning. Margulies put him with us in our cottages, and we hung out and had coffee this morning and learned all about it. But that would be another great one for you to go to. A, not a bad destination, Park City in the summer. B, ton of great acts. And C, do the same thing you're doing for High Sierra.
We can't wait to talk to you more off podcast.
It started and ended with Dave, right? Dave is the man. So
he's a spirit.
Yeah, he is.
As we'll leave it with this. As Andy Frasco said, long live High Sierra.
Long live High Sierra.
Yeah. We'll keep it moving, keep it going, and get the youngsters to come and the old people to keep coming too.
Absolutely.
Anyway, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for coming by.
So
really
much.
happy. Corinne,
Awesome.
thank you. Corinne Kahn.
God bless
thank
you.
you for
Corinne, she's great.